Okay, what we've got today is a piece of Bumblebee Jasper. I have worked with this in the past. It was quite chalky and had a lot of kind of inclusion issues, and I see that happening here too. You can see it here. There's like holes and divots inside of this. I've talked to the client, who is a longtime fan. While I'm not currently taking commissions, this person has been following me since I had like 1,000 followers on Instagram, and they're always the first person to reach out and like something or comment on a post. So I have talked with them, and they are okay with, we might have to use some super glue on this in order to get it to work. I guess this rock means something to them, so they're okay with that compromise. I think the two best dice are going to come from about here and about here. So I'll mark this up, we'll saw it up. When we cut it, we'll see the inside, and that'll give us a lot more, that'll give us a lot better guess of what we're working with as well. Okay, let's dive in. I'll mark it up, get this all out. I actually intended to make 2 dice here, but only ended up making 1. During the making of this die, I was experiencing health issues like upper respiratory infections. There was a sulfur smell whenever I worked this die, so I started looking into it, and I discovered that Bumblebee Jasper gets its orange-yellow color from arsenic. It kind of freaked me out, and I decided to minimize my exposure and only make 1. In the end, I don't think my health issues were related to the arsenic because it was cleared up with antibiotics, but it still freaked me out.
So some of this stuff here is going to definitely need to be filled with super glue. It's very porous.
I use super glue to stabilize some stones. This is important if the stone has cracks or softer, almost powdery areas that will not hold up. The glue I use is very thin, so it's pulled into the cracks and crevices with capillary action. I prefer not to use super glue, but I also want people to be able to handle and play with my dice, so it's a necessary compromise.
The goal here is just to shave this down a tiny bit because we don't want to get all the way through the super glue. We want that to remain to kind of hold everything together. This is a 1200 grit. We got some really good pattern in this. This very orange stuff soaked up so much super glue. So I'm so glad I did that because it'll really hold this die together better so they can play with it. So I was just trying 3000 grit because usually that works really well as a pre-polish. So this surface I'm showing right now has 3000 grit done to it, but at the bottom of that facet you can see a really rough area that looks like white, like it's been clawed by a bear or something. I don't know what happened, but the 3000 grit caused that. So I think we're gonna have to go straight from 12,000, which I'm showing right now, to the polish, which usually will take a lot longer, but we can't have giant cratery scratches like that now, can we?
I had always wanted to play D&D but never had the confidence to start. A friend of mine who played a lot invited me and my wife to play. We sat down and grabbed some pre-made characters and got started. Some goblins attacked us from a bush and they were shooting arrows at us. I asked the DM if I could shoot the bush with a firebolt. The bush caught fire, driving the goblins out. At this moment, I realized the freedom of D&D. Unlike in video games, you are not bound by the directions that the programmer could anticipate you taking. Instead, you really have a completely open experience in front of you. On a side note, when we grabbed those pre-made characters, my wife did not realize we would be playing those 4.5 years later. She thought it was just a game that we were going to play that night.
A couple holes we have to close up on this. There's a couple holes on this face, and there's a crack on this face that we're going to close up with super glue. Let that harden overnight and see what it looks like in the morning.
I think this die would be most fitting for a Swarmkeeper Ranger with bees or maybe hornets. From personal experience, I can say a Poisoner Rogue would probably fit pretty well. I can also see Divine Light in the swirls of yellow and orange, so I think a Cleric would be fitting also. When you play D&D, you roll a D20 a lot. You use it to determine if your character succeeds at things, from opening locks to taming a unicorn to ride off into the sunset. Because you roll it so much, it's in your hands a lot. It's like a built-in fidget toy to the game. Having a high-quality die to hold, touch, admire, when you're playing is just the greatest thing ever.